Right. That's what, like, as soon
Like,
as I start talking, I'm like, no, we gotta save it. We gotta save it.
save it for the recording. Did you like this one better than the last one?
Yes, by a lot.
Were you surprised about how quick they were?
Literally, my first note, literally, my first note is this story is moving fast. Didn't expect the two heads of both cults to meet so soon. First sentence.
Right? Yeah, I was like,
Or groups,
oh,
religions, whatever you want to call them.
we're getting right to like Rasputin and
Yeah.
the sister are all have already met. Like when he like, I guess a quick, recap is, you know, the sisters are trying to figure out how sister Kasha died.
Hmm.
They are given word that little boy in another planet, another galaxy, I would assume, because she had to travel through the interdimensional ship
Yeah.
to get there. So across the galaxy, Kasha and the little boy were both killed the exact same way. And
Burned from
before,
the inside.
yeah, Valia leaves, she tells her sister Tula, sorry, but you got to take your favorite, Lila, and she's got to go talk to her ancestors. She's got to go
Yes.
pull a Wakanda.
Yes. Gotta
She's
go to
got to
the
taste the
ancestral
herb.
plane.
She's got to taste the herb and talk to her
I
ancestors.
mean, that's pretty much what happened. Like, that's what happened.
Right?
So,
So,
like, do you just have to stay in your ancestral plane? Like, if you go like down the hallway and to the left, it's like, oh, there's T'Challa. What are
right.
you doing here?
Exactly. So yeah, so Tula preps Lila and says, "Hey, you got to do this. We know that it takes years of practice, but we're going to need you to do this today.
Yeah,
We know that you're 17." Because apparently
right.
actress filming that when she filmed it, she was only 17 when this was all being, yes, she's a baby.
She played that well, which goes into one of my other points was I feel like Princess Yanez does not portray grief well.
Oh my God, was that not her? Was her sobbing? First of all, I thought she was pretending
Yes.
until I realized, oh, she's actually supposed to be really upset over cut. Oh, because I thought she was acting like
Hmm.
this is what I need to do for the boy.
Yes.
Like when I go, I need to perform for the Duke. And then when I was like, and she's supposed to be portraying, she's actually really grieving Kasha. I was like,
Yeah,
man,
and then when she was training, getting her anger out, which fully endorse, go be physical to work out grief, sure. But then when her swordmaster comes in there and she's like, I don't want to talk, I want to fight or something. It was just so like, eh. And I was just
yes.
like, I don't believe you're sad. I don't believe that for a second. It
No, it
reminded
was
me again, and I hate going back to this, but it goes back to the Acolyte when,
what's his face could not act,
yeah,
or her when she could not
her,
cry.
her, when she could not show grief well. Like that's what it reminded me of. And it was like, because I think so far from what I've seen from a lot of the actors, they've done a pretty good job casting and the dialogue. They deliver their lines well.
Sure.
But with that grief that she was supposed to be showing throughout that episode, it was just like, yeah, I didn't believe it. I just,
No,
I, I, I didn't feel it.
she could take acting lessons from
Yes.
the girls who play the sisters like
Yes.
tremendously. I mean, like, I don't even want to like get like too much information or even graphic, but that sex scene was terrible.
Not, yeah, yes.
It was like,
I,
I don't, it was funny because you're like, I don't believe you two are doing this, which I mean, obviously, they're
right.
not,
Like you
but
have
I mean,
your,
like, I
yeah,
shouldn't be watching this thinking you're really not doing this.
right. Yeah, yes. Uh, Because, yeah, it happened and they're sitting there talking. And the whole time I was very much like, not to be sitting here critiquing people when they're getting intimate, but I was just like, okay, is this your first time? Is this both of you's first time? Because I'm not believing it.
Oh, again, I'm sorry, but the against the wall was so cringe. I was like, what are we
Yes.
what are
And
we
then I
doing?
thought bad about myself. I'm like, am I wrong for feeling like this is cringe? Like,
You had to have known across the river, your sister was thinking the same thing.
yes. Yes. I was just like, okay. I
Because
was like,
that's
I was gonna
that is one of the worst things is like not being able to like text you during it. So we have like,
right.
but you're just like, you want to be like texting you and be like, that scene was so cringe and
Yeah.
corny. I wanted to like die. Like
Yeah.
it was,
It wasn't
yeah.
great. Now I
So
will
you do
say,
find out, right?
yes.
You do find out that basically the sister of the little kid killed, that she was kind of playing him. She was playing um Constantine. He gives up the fact that, I mean, like because again, early on, Desmond cops to the murder. He's like,
Yep.
I did think about too when he's talking to is it Javaco? I think it's his name, Mark Strong's name,
Yes.
Corin's, yeah,
Javico.
Javaco. When he's like, no, 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 I did not tell you to do this, and he goes, of course. I was thinking of
Right. Right.
I
Okay.
was thinking of the Chris Pratt and Chris Hemsworth when they were doing the
Who's in charge? Who's in charge? Yeah, everyone knows who's in charge. Yeah, when he
where he
said
was
that,
like,
that was funny because he's
he
like,
was
of course,
like, of course you
you
didn't tell
didn't
me to
say
do
it.
that. And
Yeah.
I was like, so I was actually kind of surprised even with that scene, how fast he copped.
Hmm.
He was like, yep, did it. And he was like, yep, you're arrested.
Yeah.
And then, then the Duke finds out and is like, hey, you're holding this guy. I want to talk to him. And then Sister Valia breaks in and says, I want to talk to him, which again, completely shocked that we were like,
Yeah.
oh, we're
There's only
just
six
rolling.
episodes, so
Right. They do
but I
have to
guess
be
after
quick.
the first episode, I didn't expect it to move like that. Like
Yes.
the first episode compared to the second episode took huge jumps in the
Oh
story.
yeah, even considering you're still doing a setup because
Yes.
like through the process of this, you do learn that he, for all intents and purposes, is telling the truth as far as he knows it. They're prepping there. It wasn't like, oh, and they're gonna prep her for the agony, which sounds terrible already with the name. Like
Right.
somebody
You
needs like
could
a
at least,
PR person, like you're gonna
yeah.
name it the agony. Like that doesn't even happen in a later, that happens in this episode.
Yeah.
You find out about the rebellion and that the sisters are, in fact, in charge of the rebellion. I think actually we kind of might have theorized that they had
I think
like the
we
sister.
kind of halfway did. I didn't expect them to reveal that
Uh,
so quickly.
yeah, I think like sometimes because of how fast they're doing it, like the impact of finding out that the sister is the bartender or the bartender what is another sister is kind of
Yeah.
like you're rolling through it so fast that nothing has really time to take a punch and absorb because you're like
Right.
on to the next, which again, I get it because there's only six, but you
You want to
one thing
draw
is
some things out, like not to sound like we're being hypocrites, because I know our
right,
big complaint with the Acolyte is that they drew things out for way
right,
too long. But then this one, it's like second episode, it's like boom, 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 boom. It's like, well, we want a happy medium.
right. Take a breath.
We don't want to wait till the second to last episode to have things revealed, or even the last episode. But we also
Right.
don't want the second episode to have everything revealed.
Right. I mean, because you were like, you instantly knew about the rebellion. You knew that Atreides, yeah, that he's part of it.
Yeah.
The sister gives him up quick because she doesn't trust him. So, like, he's already given up. By then, though, the sister value's already moved on from that because she's like, really cares about, like, we've got bigger problems at
Yeah.
hand. This guy's, uncontrollable. And then
All of
the
this did
agony.
make the young adult scenes, as we called them last week, make a little bit more sense because I know
Right.
last week we did talk like that just felt forced, and I was like, yeah, they're just doing it. My thought was they're just doing it to get the younger people, the people that were watching Dune just for Timothy Chalamet and Zendaya's characters, because
Right.
they're forcing them in. But seeing this episode, it's like, oh, you actually have an important part of the story. That's why we had to go to the bar and see all of those people there and interact.
Right.
It made more sense.
Yeah, it's still they're still I think the weakest link in the
Yes.
episodes right
Yes.
now. I'm willing, especially with the acting. I'm willing to like. I mean, I think the Atreides kid, I think, is a little bit better than the rest of them, but yeah, the two kids are a little painful to watch at times.
Just a bit.
Yeah, it's but do you find out that like they were kidnapped at one time and that's why they had the siblings have such a deep bond and maybe that's the reason she's not as attached to her mother and her mother is grabbing for power. She's like, "Hey, let's use this guy. Don't kill him. Like we got a guy who was able to kill I mean, it is the year of the witch, but I mean like
Well, it's apparently it's just the year of women, well, not in real life, but in the shows, because I mean, you have Agatha, we had the Penguin, we had House of the Dragon, and then in this, you've got the terrible sex scene, but the sister used it to get information. You've
right.
got the wife who is taking power and using the criminal to do this.
Because
Obviously, the
she is not hiding her faces when she is with the
no,
sisters
no.
at all.
Then you've got the Bene
One of them is
Gesserit
mentioned and her
reporter.
face turns up. One of them walks in the room, her face turns up. I'm like,
Yes,
ma'am, you are not.
yes. The women are running this show, and it just was interesting. Yeah, like she's not even trying.
No.
My other hot take that I feel like I kind of said, but it wasn't fully structured, was I believe that Sister Jen is either a double agent for the guy
Right.
or she is soon going to turn. And I guess that part's not a hot take that she might turn because obviously she's not romanticized with the sisterhood and she kind of sees through it and is like they don't care about you, they
Right.
care about the mission.
Right.
And she flat out said it, but I'm like she came into this abrasive and kind of like on her she's kind of rogue and you saw that in the first episode. So I'm wondering, was she planted there with like from the guy? Did he like get to her before and was like, "Hey, you're about to join Ben and Gesserit Academy. Like, go in here, infiltrate, plant seeds of doubt, blah blah blah." And I that's where I think. But at the minimum, if she's not a double agent now, she's turning like
Well, yeah,
immediately.
like her and that it was Emmeline, Emmeline is the other one, the
Yes,
two
Emily.
sides of the coin,
Yes.
because like she was very much like, yes, blow yourself up. Our family did, like
Right. I would think less of you if you didn't.
you right. You should kill you should sacrifice life. Life
Yeah.
is so precious that you should be willing to
The
give
fact
it.
that you're
And
even
then
hesitating, just, I don't know.
right, and then you got Jen on the other side who's like, let's maybe, take a step back and not do this. But I think Emmeline was um yeah, so now you have those two. I think she's more of the sister, like the old school fanatic, maybe the Dorte
Yeah.
faction, whereas um Jen is more of like almost kind of like I don't want to say she's like Tula because Tula obviously has they all that whole entire sisterhood has secrets,
Right.
but yeah, I think her going Lila going to both of them and getting like you see the already kind of the split that's happening in the sisterhood as far as one being super fanatical and one being like,
Well,
hold
it's
up.
like she wants to be a part of it, but she also is questioning it, which I mean, that's kind of the whole point of the movies and books and series. But it
Right.
just it ties so much into religion and people like that
Fanaticism, right?
question these things and push these boundaries and are seen as outcasts. Because again, literally me right now, Sister Jen is questioning certain things. I'm like, oh, she's a double agent. She's a double agent. Get her out of here. Like it speaks so much to real world situations. But yeah, just looking at, and I really like the way that she is playing the character. I think again, all of the Bene Gesserit actors are doing a phenomenal job making
Oh
it
yeah.
very believable. And you're
Mhm.
you're seeing the flaws in everything. I'm very curious now that oh, why am I blanking on her name? The one that went to the ancestral plane. Is that that one wasn't Michaela, was it?
Um, the ancestral plane for
The one that's going through the agony right now.
as Lila,
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 yes.
Lila.
Yes. Lil
Yeah,
Lila.
and I think
I'm very
they
curious if she's dead.
no, I think she will be possessed.
Okay. I was wondering if she was gonna be possessed or was she going to come back like in Dune Part 2 after she took the stuff and you thought she was dead, but it just took a minute to
Yeah, no,
reboot the
I think she'll be
system.
possessed real quick by that Dor was it Dorothea?
Yes.
Um yeah, I think because she was like, I'm going, like you took my future, I'm going to take your hope.
Yeah.
And I think she's just going to kind of ruin, she's going to bring, I feel like she's going to bring somebody back with her.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, and that's the thing, because by going under, she exposed all their secrets, which is what Valia, well, she wasn't afraid of it, but I
I mean,
think
she was, I mean, yeah, she
Pula
was willing to
was.
risk it, but she knew that
Yeah.
was the
She knew
risk.
what the
Right.
risk was, but
Right.
it's just we got bigger fish to fry. So it's like their worst nightmares, worst case scenario happened.
Happened.
So very curious to see how that goes. And then obviously Valia is scared to death because the voice didn't work. Well, it did, but it
I
didn't.
don't know if it,
Was he pretending?
I feel like he was
I thought
pretending the
so too,
entire
but like
time
I feel like the
too.
way I would have played it as a non-actor, if I was doing that just pretending, once I got it to my neck, I would have cracked a smile.
Right.
But
Yeah.
he looked like he was conflicted, so I'm like, are you just playing along, or are you able to resist it? But like, you have to resist it.
Yeah, I mean, possibly. I just kind of felt like, oh, yeah, like kind of like you, like, well, it's was he able to just break it at a certain point? Like I
Right.
don't, but
Yeah,
I mean, I was
exactly.
like, but yeah, but so then while she's under, uh, what is it,
Hmm.
Raquel, passes along that one will be, what is it, one will die or and be born in the desert. Now, the thing is, are they talking about Desmond? Because everything could fit Desmond,
Yes.
or they can also be talking about Paul Atreides.
Yes. And I think that's what they're wanting to do.
Is blur that line between them?
Yes. Because obviously, like we said in the first episode, we have a 10,000 year head start.
Yeah.
So, and they know that we know that. So, I think that they are trying to blur the lines and make us question, are they talking about Desmond or are they talking about Paul? Because
Everything
everything that they've
fits.
said could be literally
Either
either
one.
one of them.
Right.
So it's
Either one of
just,
them.
yeah, is it the immediate danger or are we talking about Paul in the future?
Yeah.
I
So
haven't decided yet.
I don't I I have a theory on I have a theory for one of my theories for Desmond is, again, I'm sticking with like he's like they didn't know this was possible. They didn't know someone like him was, I mean, like they did, because they
The
had,
Bene Gesserit didn't know.
yes, yeah, like
Mhm.
they knew that like this reckoning was coming and that, but I don't know if they knew to the extent of how much power he would have, or
Right.
whoever it inhabited, who it would have, how much power came. And I feel like they're going to be like, oh, because they're not going to want to give up. It's going to be a fight for control of the houses, right? So I feel like he's almost they're going to want to defeat him, 100%. However, I think that leads them because to I think they're going to want a version of him that they can control, which I think is what, like, he's almost like a beta, like they're this is happening and they're like, oh, but could you imagine if we had that? And I think that is their quest for the quiz harat, the quiz sort I
Is
always
that
get,
Halarath or something like
yeah,
that?
that's, but again, it goes bad because as we've seen, spoiler alert, and the Dune movies, Paul Atreides has the same thing. He allows the sisterhood to put him into power, He allows them to, I mean, like they've been filling his head and his mother's head since before he was conceived and born, that this one is coming. And he has a, I think they might try to give him, because again, remember in the Dune series, the the agony that Lila is going under, no man can do
Yes.
until Paul
Okay.
Atreides comes around. My theory again is they're going to he's going to demand that ritual and die, and that's kind of like how he's wiped out. You know what I'm saying?
I like it. That okay.
Like he's going to be like
Yes, I'm on
this.
board. I like it.
I'm the guy. You
Yes.
have these powers. You can go back to your ancestors and everything like that. I want that same knowledge, that same power. And they're like, cool, because we kind of know that no dude can survive this.
Yeah.
And
I like what you said
scene.
about them, this being the way that they get the idea and they know it's dangerous, but they're like, hey, it's dangerous, but what if we could control it?
Yeah.
Which really is the
What if we could breed it?
motivation for all
Right.
the good guys in movies. Like you literally look at the Avengers and the Tesseract, and they were like, oh, this is terrible. We need to destroy it. And then Shield's like, well,
Like Ultron.
what exactly? You
Right.
look in across any of these movies, there is this terrible thing, Lord of the Rings, like there's any movie you look at where there is an evil power, an evil being, an evil entity, and the good guys are like, we need to destroy it. And then there's that one person in the corner smoking a cigarette. It's like, but
Hear me out.
hear me out. What if we
What if
kept it, but we controlled it?
what if we made a vision?
Exactly. What if we made a vision? Oh, the Avengers are terrible and they have no jurisdiction. We need to wipe them out. Yes. Or we get our own version of the Avengers.
Or right. Yeah. So
And that
that's
it's
kind of
so
my
true.
that's kind of my like I think they knew this reckoning was coming because they do talk about like this is that she had warned us that this is coming. I can't think of what the name of the one, Alafal, or yeah, the Terran Arafel, the
Yeah.
reckoning, the witchlight killer, the holy judgment brought on by a tyrant. But I don't know if they I don't know if they knew he would have such power
Because they had no
associated with.
context. There was just a reckoning coming. Someone will come to challenge you. But without any context, I think they had, because they had lived in peace with being unchallenged for so long, they probably over the years thought we've grown to a point where nothing could rise up and challenge us like this without us knowing and seeing it coming.
Mhm.
So for this guy to just arrive and be as powerful as he is, like, yeah, that's
Yeah.
they had no idea.
Yeah, I kind of like them like, oh, we'd really like our own version of this.
I think that is brilliant. I think that's what's going to happen.
One we can breed. Because like this guy is just an anomaly. We didn't even know
Yes.
this was like that the desert could there's some power out there with the Shai-Hulud that can create this. But in effect, it again, once again, it'll bring about their own like much as the resistance and the rebellion on Iraqis has brought this guy, I mean, has brought him this. I mean, this is why he's even around, is because
Right.
the sisters were fiddling with things to, they want to keep everybody weak so they can stay in power. Well, now you've created this guy. And I think it's going to be like, you're going to see, I mean, I think it's kind of like a mirror of like, okay, well, now 10,000 years ago, or, like, I don't know if like you would say, well, they've done this over and over again, but I think maybe it's like, at least when they do it again with Paul Atreides, it goes bad again, so
Right.
it's like, have they been trying to like tinker with the the formula?
They've been working with the formula for a while, trying to get it right, and it's just like an endless cycle.
Which again, Paul's mother, Jessica, is she takes it upon herself. She doesn't even like the
Yeah, they
Bene
didn't even
Gesserit,
want her to.
like, yeah, told her like you shouldn't have even been doing this. Like we're not, I don't know if it's like we're not ready for it or like
Yeah.
he's just supposed to come naturally or whatever it is. But yeah,
It's
like
kind of
I
like I'm trying to remember. Had you ever seen the Matrix trilogy?
mhm.
Okay, so and it's been a minute since I've watched them, but didn't they say in one of the movies that this wasn't the first Neo, this wasn't the first the one. There were others and they just kept failing and it like
Yeah,
wasn't working. It kind of in a
mimics
way
that.
like that, where yeah, this is the first or yeah, the first of multiple the ones
Right,
and it's not working, but we're gonna tweak it and we're gonna try again. Okay, that didn't work. Okay, we're gonna try this. Okay, now he's turned into a giant worm. Okay, now we're gonna try that. And it's just you keep continuing trying to do it, but yeah, you think you're the one and all the ones that came before you were imposters, but it's like no, it's really just an endless cycle of the
right.
ones.
Right, yeah, exactly right. And so it's like then you wonder kind of like, is this Kieran Atreides? I would assume he has to be a ancestor of Paul Atreides.
You would think I like there's no way that they just dropped that name in there and he's like, well, he's not really connected. He's a different part of the Atreides. Like, no.
Yeah, I would think. And so you kind of wonder, it's like with all that this is going on, and is Yanez going to be, because she was very much still like with everything going on, like, get me out of here. I want to go with the sisterhood. This is crazy. She doesn't seem, and she's very anti her mother, and her mother is very anti the sisterhood. So she's very much the sisterhood. And it's like, and Paul's in it's I don't want to say a soldier, but he's a piece of the puzzle that the sisters are using.
Right.
And it's like, do they realize that like maybe it's his DNA down the road
I'm wondering if
that's a mistake?
it's a mistake. Does Desmond see the Atreides and get like a vision of the future and
Right.
is like, woo,
Oh,
woo,
yeah.
woo. Like as he's fighting the Bene Gesserit, like something happens and he sees this guy and like just has a vision. He's like, that guy. And let's
Right.
keep him around. Like,
Right. Yeah. Like, does he drink the poison and maybe kind of see a vision of something, but then it's like, like
right, exactly.
he
Because as
can't
we've
follow through
said,
with it.
we know who wins. Like
Right.
he loses. But in his demise, like you said, I think Valia or whoever their survivors are going to look and be like, okay, terrible guy,
Because they're
terrible power, like a
clearly,
cowardly.
because you kind of also wonder Valia's, um, her motivation, because is her motivation getting the sisterhood on, in control, or is it getting the Harkonnens back to, because of, like, what are they in, like some frozen wasteland? So
They're
it's
yeah,
like,
they're out on planet Hoth because of their great grandfather, whoever was a coward. So
right,
yeah, you would even question her true
right.
motivations.
Because fast forward 10,000 years from now, they're at the top of the food chain
Yeah,
battling the Atreides, so it's
yeah.
like, does, is she not, yeah, you kind of wonder how, like, will that play into it? Because
They
like
get to
what
the
did she
desert
say?
and they're like, you know what? I like it here.
Yeah, like, but I mean, like, she was very, in the very first episode when she was talking about how he, like, the Atreides were seen as the heroes and the Harkonnens were seen as the cowards. Like, is she wanting to, like, is she not, like, is she kind of wanting the Atreides kind of like knocked
Is
down a
she yeah,
peg?
exactly? Is she wanting to not just get them back into power, but she wants the roles to be reversed? I
Right.
want
To
you to
get
be in
back.
this wasteland and we
Yeah.
control the spice. My other hot take, other than Jen being a double agent, is that Jen or someone that is not one of the Harkonnen sisters has the ability to use the voice already.
One of the sisters has the
No,
ability.
like I know Valia already does. Like
Right.
she used it, and when she did it at the in the first episode in the flashback, or I guess the whatever at the beginning,
Hmm.
I think that was the first time that
Yes.
they had seen it. I'm wondering if Jen or one of the other young sisters is also getting or has that ability because I feel like because
Who would you put the
I
money
don't think
on?
Valia's taught people that,
Right. But
but
who
I'm
would you put the money
curious,
on?
like, is she the only one that
I
has
doubt it.
workshopped this new force power, or do other ones have it, but because it's not talked about publicly, have they not said anything? And will one of them come out of nowhere and use it? And I'm wondering
I
how,
think
or once Lilia comes back reincarnated, will she be like, oh yeah, this is how I died? There's this new power that we didn't know existed.
right.
And
Although, like, didn't they say in like in one of the Dunes movies that were like that was one of the first things they're taught
oh yeah,
is the
because
use
she
of
was
their
teaching
voice. But I mean, like
Paul and stuff. Yeah.
that could be. I mean, this is now between 10,000 years. I mean, like, who knows
Right.
when that? But who would you put your money? So you think it'll be Lila that has the voice? Who's the first? Who's the first acolyte you think's coming out with the voice?
That's where I'm at. And right now, all of my theories and things are surrounded by to Jen. Like right now, I think Sister Jen is like the one, like because when she was either she's a double agent, and that's why she is already so light years ahead. Because like when they were doing the training, she figured out the truth or whatever really easily, and not just easy and like smirk like that was easy. She flat out said like what else you got?
Like,
So
you
I'm
know,
wondering, like, if she's that advanced, either are you a double agent and you're already really trained up, or are you like just Anakin Skywalker type and you are just got way more midichlorians than everybody else? Like,
isn't
does
it
she have the voice and she's just waiting for
the right
the
time?
opportunity to break it out?
Isn't it crazy how much it's like Jedi training? Because it's like they take them
And
from
I'm
their parents.
trying because as I was like going on my walk today, I was like talking through my notes in my head, and I kept drawing parallels. And I'm like, I know that well, I know Star Wars took things from Dune,
Right.
but it's like I don't want to just keep pulling things from it.
But it's pulled directly. I mean, Star Wars is pulled directly from Dune. So I
Exactly.
mean, like it's
Right.
impossible not to
Yeah.
draw those parallels. But yeah, like how the sisters take the kids from them to the point where they don't even. I mean,
Yes.
like the only difference is the Jedi do know who their parents are, whereas the sisters like no, we
No
just
idea.
snatch you at birth and raise you in a commune kind of setting.
Yeah. And
So
I'm
you're
curious, like, does anybody else have any special relatives that we don't know about? Because with Lilia, her was it her great grandmother or something like that?
was Raquel. Her great
Yes.
great grandmother was Raquel. Her grandmother was Dorothea.
Yes. So I'm wondering, are there any other sisters that we find out later might be? Oh no, because we didn't really get introduced to a.
But you don't ever see is how they kind of dangled, well, you might see your mom, and which was kind of like,
Yeah.
and then she never did.
Yes.
Oh, is her mother still alive? She never did see her mother.
Mm.
She saw her great great grandmother and she saw her grandmother. Now I know she was told, hey, like we can't control who comes up to you,
Yeah.
but, but your great great grandmother show up and your grandmother show up, but no
So
mom.
does Lilia come back? Lila, she comes back possessed, and
Yeah.
then just off the rip uses the voice on
Who do
whichever.
you think she's possessed by?
Hmm.
Do you go in Dorothea?
I think so. She comes back possessed by Dorothea. She uses the voice now that she's seen it used on her because the voice was used on Dorothea, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yes.
now that she knows it exists, she's been, out there in the void, like just pacing back and forth, like, oh man. So now she
Can't wait to
uses
use
it.
this new skill set.
Exactly. So she comes back possessed and either A comes back possessed angry or B and so two theories. She comes back possessed
Okay.
angry and with
Okay.
all of the students watching, she like uses the voice
Mm-hmm.
and Sister Jen or the others like, "Oh, okay, so that's a thing."
Right.
Or she comes back pretends to still be Lila But in reality, she is Dorothea, but she's pretending to be like, oh, that was crazy. This is how we beat him. I need to go to my room to
And do you think
recover.
her pure motivation coming back possessed though is to get back at Valia for killing her?
Yes, I don't think she cares about the sister. Like, I think maybe she wants to restore the sisterhood to what it is, but
Hmm.
I feel like that's like an afterthought in the back of her mind. Like, yeah, maybe I'll restore it back to the way I see it. But I think
Right.
right now she's coming back rage filled and is just out for blood.
Right. Well,
I
yeah,
think
because I
she's
mean,
been
she
pacing
essentially
back and
says
forth
it.
in the void in the phantom zone, just waiting to get out.
Yeah, I mean, she essentially says it to her. Like, again, you
Yeah.
took my future, so I'm taking your hope. And it's like,
Yes.
ooh, like you really want to, you really want to sink the entire system.
You
Well,
will burn
but
the entire system
but I
down to
mean,
get
like,
revenge.
I can imagine she was disillusioned with it prior to her death with the because she thought that they shouldn't have been dipping into the
Oh,
DNA
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
coding
yeah.
and stuff. So she was already a little bit like this isn't right. So I don't think she cared. I don't think
I
she
don't think
cared.
she cares. And again, I think no matter which way it shakes out, I think Sister Jen plays an important role because she has she came in the door already disillusioned.
Right.
And I don't think that that was just to add some plot points. Like, I think she has a higher purpose. Like, I feel like all of my theories are evolving around her, but I just feel like she has a very important role to play in the next four episodes.
We were right though about our one of our theories was that Desmond would side with Carino, and that happened
Very quickly.
very quickly. Our second one that was not right was the Empress was fried by him. But that's not to say that it still can't happen. But she seems to right now be the his biggest proponent at the moment too.
Yes.
So I'm not so sure that she does. I do think you're still going to have the split of I don't know where Constantine falls, but I think
Yeah, that
Yanez
one
definitely splits with her family.
I'm trying to figure that one out. Like, I know he and his dad are beefing, especially because his dad's like, "Really? You
Did
let
you
that
go back
go?"
and play your instrument? It was literally one of the things he said to him after.
Yes.
Why don't you
Yes.
go back and play with your instrument after
Yes.
like you had given up all the secrets? Do you okay? So I think Yanez splits from her family. Do you think Constantine splits with her?
I think so. I think they've got that trauma bond. I think wherever she goes, he goes.
Okay, and then so do you think the Atreides goes? He's he doesn't because he doesn't know he's working for the Sisterhood.
He doesn't know he's working for the sisterhood, but he knows he doesn't like the royal family. But the undercover sister, the only person with blue eyes in the show, correctly called him out, like to in a sense. He was like 50-50. She questioned him because of his feelings towards the princess,
Right.
and she was right about his feelings, but at his core, I think he still wants to watch the royal family burn
Sure.
minus her. So,
Yeah, he does still well clearly, yeah, because he tried to make out with her during the fight session.
yeah,
So
but so
and
it's
she
like,
stopped him.
does the rebellion
Now,
start?
her holding
And
a knife to his stomach, was that foreshadowing?
I think so.
Okay.
But I'm torn again because if you kill, I mean, obviously he's not the only Atreides, but
Right.
you've put him in there with that last name. Is it just to keep the audience from the movies
Well, then
interested?
why haven't you? Yeah, but then like you should be introducing other ones. I mean,
Exactly.
that's a true. We might see more, but um, you know, that's until we do, he's it.
Yeah, like until we do, he's untouchable. Like
Right. Right.
nothing's gonna happen to
He's
him.
untouchable. He's untouchable unless there's already a baby.
Oh yeah, the Spice Baby. No, wait, who was making the Spice Baby in the first episode?
Those two.
It was those two.
Yeah.
Okay, so she stabs him. Eh. But once they split from the royal family, does she take his last name and be like, I'm not a Carino anymore?
So she pulls like a Rose Dawson from Titanic.
Exactly, exactly. Exactly. Like, I don't think he survives because I think he's caught in the middle of something like there are, well, there's multiple sides, but in all of the sides, he's on the side of the rebellion, but because of his feelings towards the princess, that puts him outside of the rebellion. Because like, yeah, I want to watch the whole royal family burn, except for her. They're like, no, that's not how this works, dude.
Okay, but like you're gonna have it's gonna be a battle between the two, right? I mean, that's what it's
Yes.
gonna come down to.
Hmm.
So
And they've
who's
been training, so they're going to fight each other.
so Desmond has who? He has the Emperor
Yes.
and he has the Empress.
Yes.
And who else does he have? Yanez? No, she's sisterhood.
She is sisterhood. At least you think she
Constantine?
is. To who?
Constantine, the illegitimate.
I don't think, I mean, no, I don't think so. I think Sister Jen at some point, how they end up meeting, I don't know. But, and
So you think
then
Constantine's on the sisterhood side?
I still think Constantine might be collateral damage. I think he's the plot point that pushes somebody over the edge. I think his death sets in motion certain. I don't see where he comes out the other side.
Yeah, you still think episode 4, he's
Yes. I think episode 4, he is done. He is done.
Dunzo.
How?
Nice.
I don't know. By whose blade? I don't know. But and then, I mean, Carino has a fleet now, but is
Mhm.
that guy and his family, are they just out of the picture? And like they were strictly brought in to
I
drop off the
think,
sun and then they're out of
well, I
there?
don't think they're going to go against him.
No, especially like he killed your son. He showed that he could kill you.
Right,
He also did it semi-publicly, like he did it in front of his family, well, in front of his wife and the Empress. Like he didn't do it in the shadows in a dark alleyway. Like he let you know I can do this
right.
after we already did it to your son. So now scram, but also leave all your weapons. So I think they're out of the picture now because of that.
Yeah, no, they've just got the ships. That's all they needed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, I did enjoy. I wouldn't say it's great because I do think that there's still a few weak links in the series. The kids being the main one, and hopefully that'll resolve itself quickly because the acting is not great
Right.
from the chillins that we're seeing so far. Um, but there's promise there. They are clicking along. They aren't wasting time. So
They don't have time for a filler episode.
they really don't. So, I mean, we are about to go, I think next episode, it looked like that they were going to go back in time with Valia and Tula.
Yes.
But outside of that, I think that'll still help you understand. I think it'll still have questions answered pretty quick for, where we're going in the series. So, yeah. Any last theories that you got on
My
your
only theory, and this one she's kind of been under the radar, but I think the Empress Natalia could potentially be collateral damage. Maybe it's not Constantine because she has now firmly planted herself on the side of Desmond. We know how she feels about the sisterhood.
right?
So could, instead of Constantine, who is kind of a man without a family right now, the only person loyal to him is his sister. They're loyal to each other.
Right.
But could the Empress be the thing that really pushes conflict because the sisterhood, because honestly, the Emperor was going to leave him in prison.
Sure.
It was the Empress that was like, well,
Let's
what
use
if?
them.
What
Yeah.
if we use him?
Hear
Like,
me out. Because
yeah,
she's so anti-sisterhood.
exactly. So I think the sisterhood might
And I
look at
think
the
she
Emperor.
enjoys, yeah, I think she enjoys the thought of this sisterhood being
Yeah,
wiped out by this guy. Like I think
yeah,
she thinks anything um yeah is better than I think she's, because he says my wife is very religious, but I think she sees the sisterhood as almost too political and that this guy is a true religious, born out of the desert and dead and then shoots out of the worm kind of thing, is a true prophet,
Yeah.
and that she's willing to follow him more than the, I mean, obviously more than the
The
sisters.
sisterhood sees the emperor as easy to control because they've been doing it for a while.
Right.
They see his wife as their opposition, but she didn't really have the means to oppose them.
Right.
She just gave them dirty looks here and there. But
Right.
you look at it, you can give us all the dirty looks. Your daughter was like days away from coming to our academy. So, like, we don't care if you
Right.
look at us funny. You give us the stink face, cool. But now that Desmond's here, and she convinced the emperor to pull Desmond out of prison and use him. Now the sisterhood's like, okay, well, now you went
And
from
he
a
tells,
nuisance to like a problem because you are not as easily manipulated or controllable as your husband. So maybe she's the collateral damage.
it could be, but I mean, Desmond tells the Valia, he's like, you're banished from here.
Oh
When he
yeah.
meets with her at the end, like right before she says, take out your knife, your sword, your knife or whatever, your
Yeah, he's
blade,
like, your
he's like,
services are
you're,
no longer needed.
yeah, he's like, you guys got to get gone.
Yeah,
So I will she leave with the princess?
maybe. I mean, and they all have to, get out of there, but we also know that they have um an undercover sister already there.
Right.
So as far as they're concerned, they could kick out Valia and whoever, but there could
Yeah.
be others.
Right. Sleeper cells.
Yeah, exactly. They gotta activate them. They say the code word and then they're all activated.
Nice. So we've got a hunk of theories. We were
Yes.
right about, like I said, we were right about the Desmond sighting with Carino pretty soon. And you can kind of already see the split. I mean, like you kind of saw the split already with Inez and her parents, because again,
Yep.
she's not about them anyways, because she was like, I knew what, them having to let me go and us be kidnapped was part of, what happens in war, but I don't think she's ever, I think that's kind of like where she's like,
Oh, she hasn't forget that was it. She has not forgiven them for
at
that. The
all.
fact that they didn't want to speak on it because it made them look weak.
Right.
That stuck with her.
Yeah. So I like it. I like how fast it's going. I think it needs to let a few punches land so we can like whew, before the
Yes.
next punch is thrown,
Yes.
like start treating us like we're Mike Tyson.
Ah, too soon.
let a few let a few punches land before we're throwing the next one. Yeah, so yeah, I think like I said, I would give, like, if I were rating him, I would have given like the first episode, I would have given like a 2.5 out of 5. I think this one has was like it would move you up closer to 3. I think you're about a 3 out of 5. I'm
Yeah.
hoping it's still the trajectory is going up with these. From my understanding from people who have seen at least, I think the first 4, they do say it really starts. But again, there's only 6, so I mean, it's got to. So
Yeah,
I
exactly.
do, I do appreciate that they're not like it. What the agony wasn't discussed, and we had to wait till episode 4 to see it. Like it was done, unfortunately, done real quick. I thought
I
the
would have preferred
visuals,
it be episode 3, but yeah, rather than
yeah,
making us wait the whole
but it was great visuals, very horror
yes,
scene like. It was
yes,
not that it was definitely not the poison that the water of life that's used, and but I mean still a very painful, tragic thing, and
yes.
we'll see next episode. They do show in the trailers for the that they're not willing to believe that Lila is gone. So I think we will see her possessed by episode 3 and
Yes.
working. So we're going to bring this to an end, and now you can catch us on Spotify.
Yes.
We're moving, we're cranking along here and trying to get everything covered. Hopefully soon I will figure out how to get us on Apple Podcasts as well. So
Nice.
until then, bye.